Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Peresmeshnik. I think that's how you pronounce it, at least. This was a Steam release, a free Steam release. Caught my eye as I was going through, and so I decided to give it a little bit of a play. It is a point and click. Well, all I know about it is that it's a point and click, story-driven adventure game. Pretty short, from what I've heard. And yeah, I'm here to give it a shot. So let's begin. Please use headphones. Click the top left arrow to control volume. Speaking of volume, let's get it just a little bit up so that it's easier to hear for you guys. Continue. November 6th. I've already messed up. November 9th, 1962. Your name is Vector Pavlov. You are an oceanographer aboard the Soviet frigate, the Peresmeshnik. You've been tasked with mapping the ocean floor of a region in the Arctic Sea. You are currently sitting on the cot in your personal quarters. It is a small room with just enough space for a bed and a small desk. A torn envelope lies on your desk. You are fiddling with a small silver locket containing a picture of your wife and daughter. So it looks like I have two options here. I think I can... Yep, I can read the envelope. The envelope has been torn open without much care. There's a letter inside. Dear Vector, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I haven't seen or heard from you for months. I understand that the work you do is important, but you should be here. If not for me, then for Maya. She needs a father. I wanted it to be you, but you left. I know the Union needed you, but I wish you had stayed when I asked. Since you left, Leonid has been coming by more often. He's helping me raise Maya. Just the other day, she called him father. I wanted to correct her, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Because in some ways, he is her father now. He's always been there, and you haven't. She is replacing you with him. I still love you, but you're losing Maya. Please come back. With love, Uliana. Well, that's deep. That's a very interesting predicament. Also, I don't like how there's a paranoia indicator up on the top right. It's currently at 0, but my guess is that's going to be going up pretty soon. You grab the notebook and leave the room. You head towards the mess hall where the rest of the crew is eating dinner. When you arrive at a door, you hear loud, muffled voices on the other side. You may enter whenever you are ready. Can I just stand here outside the door? No, I gotta enter. You open the door and grab some food. Tonight is mashed potatoes and peas. That's yummy. That is some scrumptious grub. You sit down at a table and open up your notebook. There's a chart of the nearby sea inside. As you look over your notes, there is a loud burst of laughter from the crew. Well, I'm gonna check the chart. Oh, I thought it would give me like an actual picture. The charts and maps are of the ocean floor that were made using sonography. So, sonar. Something about the charts of this region doesn't make sense to you. In the charts, there's a large body of mass at the bottom of the ocean that doesn't look like a natural formation you have ever seen. This alone perplexed you, but the second chart you made showed that the mass moved. To be safe, you made a third chart. In the final chart, you saw what appeared to be a chunk of mass break off from the main body. I call iceberg. That could be a sunken iceberg that dragged down on the bottom of the ocean. The shape of the mass does not look like any known animals, and there is no information on any plant-based life that could move that fast. You aren't sure if you accidentally discovered a new species of aquatic life, if your sensors are on the fritz again. Well, okay, you say a large mass. Does that, like, how large are we talking about here? Because if it's, 10 meters square, then it could be, a whale or something. But if it's like 100 meters square, even larger than that, maybe a kilometer square, then it's going to be like an iceberg or something. I mean, you're right, because then nothing can move that fast. You open the door and grab some food. Mashed potatoes. What are y'all laughing at? At the other table, the crew is laughing at Uranev. Uranev? I don't know. Who has 2 different plates for peas and potatoes. A bellowing laugh fills the room. You look over and see Obarev, who's grinning from ear to ear. Uranev begins gesturing towards his plates. Well, let's get to know these gentlemen. Uranev Ruslanovich is a deckhand on the Peresmeshnik. He joined the Soviet Navy at a young age, mainly for free grub and the pay. He has a mild case of brumotactilophobia. Brumotactilophobia, my goodness. Also known as the fear of different foods touching. I didn't know that was an actual fear. I'd heard about it, but I didn't know that was like a legitimate thing. I guess there's going to be a phobia for anything. This fear can often make him the target of ridicule from the other crew members. Okay, so Uranev doesn't like food touching, and he's also young. Or experienced, because if he's older now. What about Obarev? Obarev Denisovich is the resident mechanic for the Peresmeshnik. I'm just going to call it the Peresmeshnik. He's been working hard on the Peresmeshnik for 6 years and has grown to be very fond of the ship. You once heard him cooing at the ship's engine as you walked by the boiler room. He's a very large build, but he's very friendly, so a gentle giant. You've not talked to him much, but you could see that Obarev was a very jovial person. The others seem to enjoy talking to him. He is one of a kind. No one could replace him. Alright. It is very simple. Pea here, potato here. Pea never touch potatoes. Uranev attempts to explain anxiously. It abomination. What wrong with that? So I think the game developer speaks English or something, and they're making an attempt to do like a Russian, like a Russian imitating English, and it's not working. Nothing wrong, Yuri. Hold up. Do you hear that? Mortar fire. Of course, mortars on a Soviet boat. Obarev flings a few peas into Uranev's mashed potatoes. Blyacha, why you do this? The room bursts into laughter as Uranev scrambles to pick the peas out of his potatoes. We could just say, so, okay, we can tell Obarev to lay off of Uranev. We could say nothing and just, watch this all unfold. Or we could leave and do nothing. I'm gonna tell him to lay off. Come on, Chuvak. It's all good fun. Yuri's a good guy, Obarev replied with a chuckle. After exchanging a few words with some of the crew, you wrap up your meal and and leave the mess hall to go back to your room. Okay, so I've eaten. When you get to your personal quarters, you sit down at your desk and look over to your notes and the charts of the region. After a few hours, you notice your eyelids grow heavier and heavier. You start to think about sleep. You crawl into bed and begin to fall asleep. Ah! You're awakened by a deafening scream. You clamber out of bed and rush towards the source. You arrive to find a stunned Obarev, mouth agape and eyes wide open, staring into a supply closet. As you get closer, you are hit with a pungent smell. You slowly peer inside, and your jaw immediately drops. The walls are drenched in blood. Intestines are strewn about the shelves like ornaments, and blood pools on the floor. One look at the intestines, and you realize something terrible. It's human. See, now here's the deal. Here's what I would think, at least. How would you look from the intestines? Because, pig intestines, I know, are very similar to humans. So wouldn't you want to be looking at, the face or something? Well, maybe there's no intestines. Yeah, I guess it just shows intestines, not... Okay, well, we're human. Oh, our paranoia has gone up. This is interesting. You feel your stomach churn as you stumble backwards. Gagging, you lean on the wall for support. A torrent of footsteps is heard as the other crew members arrive. After a few minutes, the entire crew is in the supply closet. How large is the crew? Is it just the three of us? You recollect yourself and begin to observe the others. Some of the crew grab Oborov, still frozen in shock, and attempt to pull him away from the scene. Others gather in small groups and begin whispering. It's probably just an animal, right? Think, Yuri, another crew member interjects. Does that look like animal intestine? No. Okay, well... Does it matter if it was an animal or not? I mean, you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Think about this. You're on a ship in the middle of the ocean. If there's an animal... Oh, they're saying it's an animal in the thing. Like, who got torn up. Okay, I was thinking that they were thinking, like, it's an animal that did it. You wait for more of the crew to arrive. Soon, Captain Stepanov arrives and demands an explanation. As you look to the 13 crew members around you, you notice one odd detail that stands out. No one is missing. Well, now that's actually freaky. So, I just noticed this, and maybe I was wrong, but I was at 3 paranoia at the start, like, or when I opened up this screen, and the more I waited, now it's gone up to 10. So it sensed that I waited here, and it was like thinking, and it bumped up my paranoia. That's really cool. Let's see who Stepanov is. Captain Ramir Stepanov is the commanding officer of Peresmeshnik. He rarely ever fraternizes with the rest of the crew, and instead prefers to sit in his quarters alone, drinking the night away. Other than that, you do not know much about the captain, other than that he stays out of your way and you stay out of his. Well, now, this is our first big decision. Do we call it out that nobody's missing, or do we keep it to ourselves? Because where did the intestines come from, then? Oh, God, my paranoia just went up again. By 7. That's not good. Let's call it out. The captain frowns as you... Okay. I'm, It's watching me, what's going on, why? Okay. The captain frowns as you explain that the blood came from a human, but no one on board seems to be missing. What are you suggesting? This is from one of us? He gestures towards the pooling blood in the supply closet. This is... You cut him gruffly as he tries to dismiss you. We're the only humans for miles. It could come from no one else. The captain lets out a deep sigh and covers his face with his hands. He waits a few moments before turning to face you. Yomoyo, what do you suggest then? Well, we need to run tests. Stepanov gives an incredulous look. Blood tests? Is this necessary? We don't have a lot of testing kits. I don't want to waste kits on a hunch. Well, okay, somebody's dead or missing their intestines. I mean, at the very least, we need to put the crew at ease, because morale in a situation like this is incredibly important. The crew is on edge. If nothing else, the blood test will let them think we have a plan of some kind. It will help put them at ease and do wonders for morale. Exactly. Wait for Stepanov's response. Stepanov squints as he thinks it over. After a few moments, he reluctantly nods to you and then turns to address the crew. Vector will perform tests on the blood. Until we get results, everybody will be in the mess hall. As the crew heads towards the mess hall, you grab a sample of the blood and head to the medical room. I'm really liking this so far. This is good. You grab a blood test kit and the medical files for all the crew members. You plan to use the blood type to narrow down the suspects. You start the test and begin logging the blood types of each crew member. As you're doing this, the first step of the test is completed. Begin the second step. You start speculate. like that. You start speculating about where the blood could have come from as you wait for the results. Could it be Uranev? Why was he standing there? Is it Oberev? Ooh, okay, that's getting freaky. This is getting freaky. I'm gonna put my other earbud in for this. I want to be fully paranoid for this. Let's get immersed. As soon as the test is completed, you compare it to the testing manual. The blood type is somewhere rare, A negative. You scan your notes of the crew's blood and find that only 2 crew members have this blood type, Oberev and Yureniev. As you walk to the mess hall, you try to make sense of what you're trying to say. If any person lost that amount of blood, they would be dead. But you saw both Oberev and Uranev at the supply closet. It couldn't be from one of them, could it? Well, here's the thing. This is important to remember. Oberev was there. Oberev was there at the, he was the one who screamed and reported the supply closet. Here's my theory. Something has infected Oberev. Like something, maybe a parasite or something, has gone up inside of Oberev and is taking control of his mind and yeeted his intestines for some reason. Maybe the intestines are the mortal enemy of whatever creature this is. Open the door. You enter the mess hall to find the crew waiting for you. Some are eating breakfast. Others seem to be still in shock. Captain Stepanov looks up at you as you walk in. Well, Vector, what did you find? You look around the room and spot Oberev, who's sitting at a table, arms crossed, staring straight ahead. Next to him is Yureniev from a plate in front of him. The plate contains both peas and potatoes. Now, hold up. Okay, okay, I need to be very careful about this, because if we share the findings, then, because this throws a monkey wrench in things. Yureniev doesn't, like, he has the phobia. He doesn't like peas and potatoes together. He wouldn't do that. And Oberev could be in shock. You know, he's a gentle giant. He's not very strong mentally. So we need to go public. I mean, we need to go public. We need to share what's up. You share your results. The crew turns around to look at the 2 suspects. Oberev doesn't fidget. Uranev continues to eat his potatoes and peas. Captain Stepanov frowns. You notice one crew member staring at Uranev as he eats with a baffled look. He begins to speak. Yuri, your peas touch potato. At the uttering of these words, Oberev wakes from his daze and begins to glare at Uranev. The room is overcome with a deathly silence as the crew takes in this information. Uranev scoffs and looks around at everybody. Yeah, so? So, the real Yuri has fear of food touching. He hates for peas to touch potato, Oberev exclaims. He slowly stands up. Oberev's massive build looms over the much smaller Uranev as he steps forward. You're not him. You're not really Yuri. You're not my friend. Oberev lunges at Uranev, clasping his hands around his neck. The rest of the crew rushes towards Oberev to stop him. As the crew tries to pull Oberev away, Uranev lets out an unearthly scream, and his eyes begin to roll into the back of his head. Uranev's body begins thrashing as a black liquid begins oozing out of his eyes. His body contorts unnaturally as it begins transforming into something not of this world. The crew backs away in fear as they watch Oberev struggle with a thrashing Uranev. After a few moments, Uranev's body goes limp. Suddenly, a tangle of jet-black tentacles sprout out of Uranev's back. Some of the crew let out a terrified yelps as they scramble for the door. The creature lets out one last shriek before slashing Obrev's legs with his tentacles and scurrying off, escaping through one of the vents. The crew looked toward the vent, confounded by the horror they just witnessed. After a few moments, a crew member runs over to Oberev and begins to treat his leg. There's some shouting to your left. You turn to see another crew member lying on the floor, blood spurting from the neck. A few people put him on a gurney and cart him out of the mess hall. As you come to your senses, you begin to come up with a plan. We need to evacuate. We have to abandon ship. They'll take the lifeboats and get out of here. Captain Stepanov stares blankly ahead, almost as if in daze. As you speak, he looks at you blankly. Slowly, he begins to shake his head, his blank expression gradually turning to anger. First off, Vector, you are not captain. I am. Second, we can't abandon ship, not because of some animal. That was not just an animal. That was a monster. It was Yuri. It replaced him. It could do it again. How do we know there isn't another one among us, Vector? If we bring it with us, then the situation is the same. Oh, do we leave Oberev behind? Oberev got slashed with the tentacle. Oberev got slashed, which means that it could have implanted something, but we need to bring everyone. Nobody left behind. Nobody left behind. The blood we found was A negative. Oberev is the only crew member with this blood type now. While he's in shock, he isn't acting strange. We bring everyone. No, there are too many important charts and equipment on the ship to just abandon it. We find creature, and we kill it. It's an order. As Stepanov walks away, he orders 2 crew members to accompany him. You look after him with disdain. I'm liking this. You look around at the rest of the room as the captain leaves. The rest of the crew is nervously fidgeting. Some stare at others with suspicion, eyes darting back and forth, assessing who they can trust. Others are already huddling in small groups, whispering frantically while occasionally glancing nervously at the others. You watch with dismay as some of the crew sneaks away. We need to act now. You know the crew's best chance of survival is to escape before the creature can replace somebody else, but Captain Stepanov won't order an evacuation. Oberev is sitting in the corner. His leg has been freshly bandaged and he is alone. What do you do? When Yurenev was attacked or got infected, there's this whole debacle, blood everywhere, intestines. That hasn't happened with Oberev. So I think Oberev is clean. I'm going to ask Oberev for help. You run over to... Oh, I got an achievement. Reach out. You run over to Oberev, who is lying on the ground, clutching his bleeding leg, and ask him if he can walk. He looks up at you with a grimace and replies, "It's just a scratch. It will take more than a shallow cut to keep me down." Good, then let's get off the ship. With a furrowed frown, Oberev begins to speak. The captain said, "Stepanov doesn't know shit. We'll all die if we stay here. You saw what it did to Yuri. We stay here and we are next." Oberev is silent for a few moments. Perhaps you are right. That thing is great. I don't know if I should do a Russian accent doing this. I have a terrible Russian accent, so we'll see. That thing is crafty, and I doubt it replaced Yuri because he wanted new friends. What do you plan to do? Gotta get off on the lifeboat. Vector, the lifeboat's motor is broken. I've been working on it. But even if it weren't, you just want to leave our comrades behind? Look around the now empty room, and then turn back to Oberev with a solemn look. Everyone is gone. The monster could have already transformed into one of them. Our best chance is to evacuate everyone after the attack, but that chance is gone. Oberev looks sternly at you before answering. All right. What you say is probably true. I'm in. We don't have any paddles. Oberev chuckles somberly. That incompetent Yuri lost them last time we took it out. So I need tools to fix the lifeboat's engine. Follow me. Walks briskly into his room. We follow close behind, but have trouble keeping up with him. You are amazed that he is able to walk so fast given his injury. No! Come on, Oberov. He's a very muscular person. He's a muscular person. He's strong. He can walk. After searching for a moment, he faintly smiles as he pulls out a clanking bag. Aha! Here it is. These tools have never let me down. His smile quickly fades as you hear a strange roar in the distance. There's another shrill scream that almost sounds human. You turn to Vector. Time to go. As you begin to head towards the lifeboat with Oberov, you turn a corner and notice a trail of blood that leads into a room. A look of dread overcomes Oberov's face, but he attempts to reassure you with a nod. You inch towards the door and slowly begin to peek inside. As you look inside, Oberov lets out an audible gasp. Inside of the room, you see a pile of bodies in the corner. Your eyes look into one of the bodies. You recognize him as Artur, a young boy who worked in the kitchen. His skin is pale white, and his dead eyes stare back at you. As the creature feasts on his body, his mouth hangs open. It's almost as if he was trying to scream for help. You notice the second creature walk towards the body and begin eating. Suddenly you feel a tug on your shoulder as Oberov pulls you away. Notice the sign on the door that says Armory. New plan. We blow the ship up. They kill my friends, defile my ship, I will blow them up. He holds an explosive charge. You look at it with concern. Is that safe? Of course it's safe. You set the charges, you get away from the charges, then blow it up. Safe. Now let's get going. As he turns to leave, you realize you don't have any food or medical supplies. We need supplies. That's true. Alright, you get the supplies, I repair the ship, and arm the bomb. Quick. You both leave the armory and go your separate ways. That's a mistake. That's a very big mistake. You don't do that. You rush to the kitchen and grab some emergency rations, then sprint to your room. As you run, you hear another low roar. You open the door to your room. There's no one there. There's a large knife lying on the top of your desk. You often used it to open letters or carve when you were bored. You grab the knife, figuring a weapon might come in handy. You catch a glint in the corner of your eye and look to find a golden locket. You open it and see your daughter's face smiling back at you. You pause a moment before closing the locket and stashing it in your pocket. Let's head towards the lifeboat. As you run, your mind begins to wander frantically. Who will tell my daughter? Where is it? What if I don't make it? As your mind races, you begin to seriously ponder. Where is it? Is it watching me? What if it replaces Oberov? It will not replace Oberov. I have confidence in Oberov. So, where is it? Knowing where it is good. It could be anyone, possibly even anything. There's no way to know what it can mimic. It could imitate an inanimate object like a plant or a chair. The thought of it hiding in plain sight, misspelled sight, terrifies you as you begin to look around suspiciously. You need to get out of here. The lifeboat is just around the corner. The lifeboat is now in view. Oberov is waiting. He is anxiously fidgeting with his wrench before he finally sees you. He begins to smile grimly. As you get closer, you slow down. You can't help but think about how the monster can mimic anyone. What took you so long? Well, hurry on in. The ship is about to blow in 20 minutes. Oberov stops for a second and looks at you inquisitively. What is wrong? Nothing's wrong. I trust Oberov. I trust. Gets on the lifeboat. See, not so bad, right? Oberov looks at you with a warm smile. Now let's get going. He walks over to the release mechanisms, pulls the switch. There's a loud clank of metal as the lifeboat jerks back. However, the mechanisms don't detach. Oberov's smile is quickly replaced by a panicked look. What is wrong? The release mechanisms are jammed, probably because of the cold. Obrev takes out his tools and begins working the mechanisms, locking the lifeboat in place. You hear another roar. Hurry. Shut it, Vector. I'm working as fast as I can. The sound of clanging metal echoes throughout the ship. You hear another roar. You aren't sure, but you think it was closer. Obrev looks back at you with a worried grin. I think we got its attention. You can do this. Keep going. Obrev looks around to keep working. 10 minutes pass by, but it feels like an eternity. You hear another roar, much closer this time. In the distance, you see a shadow growing even larger. You look worriedly at Obrev. Obrev, it's coming. Just a sec. Got it. Paiukole. That means let's go, I think. Obrev jumps back into the boat. Hit that switch. In an instant, the lifeboat is released, and it falls violently towards the ocean floor. It hits the water with a deafening smack, creating a massive splash and soaking you with ice-cold water. Obrev flicks the switch on the engine. With a roar, it sputters to life, and Obrev steers the boat away from the ship. A smile stretches across your face as you watch the Peresmeshnik grow smaller and smaller as you get further away. See, this concerns me, the fact that the sentence gets cut off, because that tells me that Obrev might be infected. Boom. The Peresmeshnik is swallowed up in a fire explosion. As your ears ring from the intense sound of the explosion, you feel something whiz past your head. You open and close your mouth rapidly, trying to fix your ringing ears. Once the ringing begins to fade away, you look up at Obrev, who is staring past you with a look of cold horror. You look down, your toes suddenly feel cold and wet. That means it's not blood, because cold and wet is not blood, because blood would be warm and wet. Comrade, there's a leak. You look and see where the water is gushing forth. Shrapnel from the explosion punched a hole in the bow. The boat is sinking. You need to get to land. Toward the ice sheet. Obrev steers the boat towards the ice as the boat starts to sink. As the boat rams into the ice sheet, you and Obrev both lurch forward. In the crash, you are knocked down to your hands and feet. Before the boat sinks, you and Obrev manage to scramble onto the icy shore. Panting, you look up and see the ice sheet around you. Obrev is next to you, gasping for air. You take a moment to catch your breath before silently nodding. Where is home? Obrev points silently towards the rising sun. Without exchanging any words, you begin walking in that direction. Obrev follows close behind. As you walk forward, you can only think of one thing. Maya, I'm coming, and I won't be replaced. The end. Wow. Sean Arnold. Copyright 2020. Well, that was the Peresmeshnik. Apparently there's a few different endings. It wouldn't be an interactive story if there weren't. I really liked it. I thought it was quite good. It's certainly, it's not a AAA game, but it's very nice. It's very nice. I liked the deception aspect of it. Who to trust, who not to trust. I wish that the captain maybe played a little bit of a larger role. But I guess if he's a drunk, he's not going to be there. But yeah, so that will do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.